All right, 1 minute till we officially start. Better than a classroom edutainment session. Chuckwallas, the inflatable lizard. As part of our opening credits, once again, I would like to thank everybody for joining and would like to let everybody know how, because a lot of people still keep asking, so how can you throw some money in the virtual tip jar? A lot of options. Zelle, if you're a Zelle person, at payment@wildmanphil.com. Venmo is wildmanphil. That's all one word, but with a capital W and a capital P. And then PayPal is presentations@desertwildlife.net. So we do thank all those that already have contributed to help this keep going. After this morning's announcement here in Arizona, we found that we will be continuing to not be able to do the live animal shows for groups. So continuing our educational presentations that we're doing here is about our only option to get this information out. So of course that took a pretty big hit on our budget as well, and we do appreciate all the love that everybody's throwing and all the gifts. So with that being said, I think we've got about 30 seconds to go or so. Time is it? 11 o'clock yet? Waiting for that first question, the first hello.
Rachel and Katie.
Rachel and Katie. Where are they saying hello from?
They're just the first ones to comment they're watching you.
Oh, first ones to comment we're watching. All right, well.
Donna says hi as well.
Who?
Donna.
Donna. Thank you, Donna, for saying hi and watching. I would like to find out where everybody's watching from. We've been getting a lot of messages from people all over. We've got Washington State, Oregon. I know we had the Netherlands as our winner of the farthest away last time, but Pennsylvania and, of course, all over Arizona. So
Jen Jansen from Northern California.
That's right, Northern California. Jen, thank you again. She's one of the first ones to pop on every day, and I was kind of worried because I happen to see she may have to go back to work or something now. But thanks for being there, Jen. We appreciate it. So, all right. Well, I think we're about ready to get started. Well, I'm just going to sit and relax here for just a little bit longer. This lizard that you're looking at here, let's put you in a little bit better position there. You made a little mark on my brand new shirt. Here, cover it. There we go. Anyhow, this is a common chuckwalla. I say common chuckwalla. There's actually 7 or 8 species, but they're found. This particular is the one common here to the United States. The other species are all in Mexico, but they're found in the western, southwestern part in the low desert areas where there's a lot of rocky hillsides. I'm going to go ahead and stand up a little bit to talk about this, and that way you can kind of see a little bit about the terrain that we're standing next to here. This is where you would find a chuckwalla, a nice, hot, low desert place where there's rocky hillsides. And these rocky hillsides are very important to the chuckwalla. You see, the chuckwalla, he can climb these rocks very, very well. He's got little claws, but not for tree climbing or necessarily for digging, but they're great for gripping onto the rocks. But the chuckwalla you're looking at here, by the way, is a male chuckwalla. We'll get a little bit more into that in just a minute, but we have a question first.
Well, first, how do they catch their food? But second, why are they black?
Good questions all the way around. All right, the coloration is natural. I get a lot of questions about that with chuckwallas, going, hey, what happened to him? Did he get burnt up here, or why is his tail? This is a male chuckwalla with the black body and the bright yellow tail. That's kind of typical of the chuckwalla. But of course, they are one of those creatures that the male and females look a lot different. A female chuckwalla is going to be very noticeably different from a male chuckwalla. So let's look at a female in comparison. The female on your left here looks a lot different than the male on the right. A little bit lighter tail. You can kind of see some bands on the tail. That's left over from being a baby. We'll see that in just a minute too. But the coloration is quite a bit different. These are just usually this brown color, whereas the male, the jet black with the bright yellow tail. This is helpful because they like to hide in the cracks of the rock. So we have a nice little crack right down in here. That would be a great place for a chuckwalla to hide. The chuckwalla would jump into the crack there, and if you look in, all you're going to see is the tail. Now, I'm assuming most everybody's tried to catch a lizard at one time or another of some sort. You probably know rule number one of catching lizards: don't grab a lizard by its tail, right? Because the tail breaks off. Chuckwallas can have that happen, but chuckwallas don't rely on their tail breaking off. They use their tail to store their food. You see, chuckwallas, as big and scary as it may look, the chuckwalla is actually a plant eater, a herbivore, a vegetarian. It's out there eating plants, like the creosote you see here, like some of the different flowers and things that are on the hillside here. And of course, being a plant eater, it helps spread seeds, it helps to prune the plants, and it's very, very helpful to the environment. But eating plants and living in the desert doesn't always work well. Because I don't know how many of you have ever been in the desert in the middle of the summertime, but guess what? There's not a whole lot of in the desert in the summertime. Yeah, Canadians. Yeah, no. That's our winter visitors leave then. But really, plants are not here. The leaves and flowers dry up. Chuckwallas don't like cactus. They like to eat the leaves and flowers. So all their food disappears. So how does it survive? Well, it plans ahead. This big, thick tail is where it stores its food. And that is very important to it. I'm going to throw this one back to you here. We have another question coming in. Let's get rid of the female there. All right.
How long do their tails get?
Well, this is pretty long for a chuckwalla tail, and this is a good-sized male chuckwalla. The males are generally a little bigger than the females, by the way, and this is about what it gets to. It's good and fat here. Of course, it tapers down some. But what happens is it eats all kinds of plants in the springtime. It comes out in the spring when there's leaves and flowers everywhere, and it eats all that it can. And when it gets full, it doesn't stop eating. The extra food that it eats, it turns into fat that it stores in the tail, and then it can make it through the summer. But it also does something that a lot of us Arizonans do. Most people don't even know it's a thing. It's called estivating. Estivating is a big scientific word that's basically hibernating in the summer. It's so hot outside that you don't want to go outdoors. Now, the chuckwalla doesn't get to hang out and play Minecraft and watch YouTube videos, so it's a pretty boring estivation, but it goes in deep into the hillsides where it's nice and cool. It doesn't use up any of the, very little anyway, of its energy, so it's not using up all that food that is stored in its tail. It'll come out for an hour here or there maybe to get some sunlight, but they'll spend a lot of time hiding inside. And then when we get our summer rains in the desert where they live, then it'll come out, get some more of the plants that have now greened up, and be able to make it through the rest of the year. And then they do hibernate during the winter time. Now, I was talking about the male, female, and the baby. Well, let's look at the baby. Isn't it a cute little baby lizard? That cute little baby chuckwalla, I think you can see his tail there pretty well, right? That looks a lot different. It's hard to imagine that's going to grow up into that guy, right? Yeah. So they lay eggs. The female chuckwalla can lay anywhere from 6 to 15 or so eggs. They do that in the ground somewhere. Once they hatch out, then these babies go around. Now, females are kind of interesting in chuckwallas because they only lay eggs every other year. So these guys are going to have a year in between, a chance to be able to grow up to be nice and big. Cute little guy, though, isn't he? All right, another question, though.
How bad would a bite from a chuckwalla be, and do they have a prey?
Oh, very good questions all the way around. All right. First off, they can bite. If you were to grab one out of the wild, he's going to go ahead and give you a little attitude. A lot of times, this one we've been holding up for a while, he might not show you that. But actually, we do have one that I think might open his mouth. It's one that looks a little bit different here. This particular chuckwalla is one that's just found in a different location. Oh yeah, there you go. Got a little attitude here. Yeah, this guy has some danger colors. First off, most animals that have a bright color like a red or yellow with a black are generally dangerous. So animals see this guy and they might think, hey, I don't want to mess with that. I mean, think about things like a bumblebee, a wasp, a yellow jacket, a centipede, Gila monster. Lots of things have bright colors with a black, which signifies danger. So this guy's got a little bit extra of that. Normally, chuckwallas, the males will have that yellow and black. That helps. This guy here even more, but more so, he has this attitude. Now, he can bite. Yeah, it kind of hurts a little there, but he's not drawing blood, at least not this time. And now, let go. We're done. Thank you. They do have some muscles, but they're not made for biting on and grabbing onto a live animal that's trying to struggle to get away. They just need enough to bite off a leaf, so it's not super bad. But they do have predators. A lot of animals will try and eat the chuckwalla. I mean, you look at that. Yeah, it looks like a couple of chicken wings and a nice tasty, yeah, there's a lot of food there. But they like to hide so the animals can't get to them. Snakes will try to eat them. Hawks will. Foxes, coyotes, things like that will try and eat a chuckwalla. Another question, though.
How old do they get and how long can they grow?
Okay, well, depending on the species of chuckwalla, some of them get bigger than our chuckwallas that you're looking at here. Some of them, the largest one being one like the San Esteban Island chuckwallas from Baja California and stuff, will actually get to be over 24 inches long. That's a big lizard. But most of the time, they're going to be about this size, if you will. Now, being a reptile, they grow their whole entire life, but once they get to a full-grown, we'll call it size, they slow down a lot. So this guy here, not going to grow a whole lot more. Now, as far as how long they live, generally in the wild, a chuckwalla is going to live about 15 years. Pretty impressive for a lizard. But believe it or not, the world record for a longevity of a chuckwalla that we know of was in captivity. Tell you what, I'll let you guys see if you can guess how long it was. Go ahead and read off all the guesses to me. Average is 15 years, all right? This guy here, I have no idea how old this guy is, really. I have a chuckwalla that I've had for about 5 years now. Started when it was a baby, so I know how old it is. But if you catch one in the wild, you don't know. Well, what kind of guesses do you have on the record longevity for a chuckwalla? Nobody wants to guess? Somebody's Googling it right now. I know you're cheating, right? Yeah. You're going to probably say something really old, like 20 or 25 years old, which would be a very good guess.
38.
38. I like that. Not a good rounded number people would think of using. Actually, 38 is still low.
47.
47. Wow, that's a great age for things to live and have a great healthy life. Might be close to my age. But in any case, believe it or not, that's still low. That's right. The record longevity was higher than 47 years.
Rachel says 48.
48. No, still low. You'll have to go a little bit bigger jump than that, believe it or not. Should I give him a hint? It's over half a century. Now people are doing all kinds of math. Like, wait, we want to learn about animals. We don't want to do math. Tricked you into doing a little math here. Yeah. All right, anybody guessing yet? What do we got?
The highest one has been 48.
I'll give you a
75, Rachel.
Too high. Good job, Rachel, but you've narrowed it down. We are only within 25 years, which is greater than the usual lifespan. I know. You guys are hating playing this game, aren't you? Yeah, I waiting for Fiona to yell something like 65 or something crazy. But, oh, that was the answer, by the way. 65 years old. That's a pretty long-lived lizard, really. I'll be honest, I'd like mine to live that long, but I won't know if they do. Yeah, I don't think I'll be here in 65 years or even 60 more years. But in any case, this guy's living a pretty long time. But I guess, you know, the vegetarian diet, in their case, seems to work out very well. Wouldn't work so well for a monitor lizard, but with the chuckwalla, it works great. By the way, the coolest thing about the chuckwalla and why he got the title today of the inflatable lizard is what I want to talk about. You see, the chuckwalla can't run fast because, well, it's kind of a big fat lizard, can't go anywhere very quickly. But don't look at me like that. I'm just giving him the facts. You're big, you're fat, you're slow. Yeah, hey, own it, embrace it. It's all right. But this lizard is not fast. He doesn't want his tail to break off because that's where his food is, so he's not a typical lizard. So what does he do if something tries to eat him? He uses his surroundings. We mentioned they like these hillsides where there's big cracks in the rock. That's because it'll jump into the crack, wiggle in as deep as it can, and then blow up with air like a little balloon. You may notice this chuckwalla's kind of got some loose wrinkled skin here. I don't know if you can see that. Some people, sometimes it'll let out all that. Oh, there it's getting scared now. Yeah, now it's, woohoo, it's like a little balloon. Woohoo. So its lungs can expand and blow up. Well, when it gets into the crack of the rock and it blows up with air, it's stuck in there. It's wedged in there. You cannot pull it out. Their skin is like sandpaper. that grips onto these rocks and it holds on in there and it's completely stuck in there. Now this guy, yeah, he's letting it out and he's blowing himself up, but he can blow up about this big around. I think we actually have one that likes to, do we still have one that likes to blow up pretty well? We're not sure on this one here. Let me see. This one's doing pretty, oh, there we go again. He's like, nope, I'm going to perform today, Wild Man Phil. Good job. So this guy, you can see, blows up pretty well. Now he lets his air out again. Well, wait, I'll show you. Watch. No, it doesn't work like that. I'm kidding. Some of you got excited. You're like, he's going to blow up this lizard, but it doesn't work that way. He has to do it himself. I know you're wondering, how do you know it doesn't work like that? Same way you would know if you had a chuckwalla long enough. Let's be honest, true scientists would have tried. Yeah. All right, I'm not the only one that's tried that, right? Okay, anyway, the chuckwalla can blow up when he's in the crack and he blows up with air. He's completely wedged in there. Animals can't pull him out. People can't pull him out. He's totally safe. And then, of course, he can let out his air when he wants to move. But another question coming in.
Ben Clark says, Drew asks, can they be camouflaged?
Yes, the females especially will definitely be camouflaged. This guy here, not so much. But even the black lizard sitting on a rock here, he looks like a shadow sometimes. In fact, I got to be honest with you, sometimes when I'm out hiking and I'm looking for chuckwallas, I'll see what I think is a male chuckwalla, but it's really a shadow of a rock. But that's one of the things about the females is that they have a very, very nice, let me get rid of that guy there, nice camouflage color. This guy sitting on this rock here is going to blend in a little. That hawk flying around's got really good eyesight. It might go, hey, that's a lizard. And, of course, jump down to get, boy, she looks like she needs to lay off the donuts. That's just air. Come on. It's just like a little balloon, which if it was filled with helium would be cool. It'd be like your own balloon floating with it. No, that would be wrong. We would never do that. But the chuckwalla does blend in very well. The females more so than the males. And that, of course, works out to his advantage or her advantage in this case. Boy, she's really, yeah. This one here. This is one that we caught right out here this morning, and she's not really a whole lot of attitude, but it does definitely, oh yeah, there's a little attitude going there. Oh, by the way, male and female differences. If you look at the head here, let me see another male again. We're giving poor Isaac a workout today. Here we go. And kind of look at the top of the head. None of us are going to get this close to see, but notice how wide the male's head is. It's kind of narrow on the female. It's kind of like if you're having to tell the difference between an alligator and a crocodile, except for these guys aren't going to bite your face off. But it's one of the ways you can tell them apart, especially when they're younger and their color's kind of the same. Of course, the coloration is the big thing, but like most lizards, if you're able to see the bottom of them, there's a giveaway. You see, on the back legs, there's this row of glands right here. You see those? There's one there. There's a whole row of these little glands right there. And the same thing here. Those are called femoral pores. And male lizards usually, but not always, but generally have larger femoral pores. I mean, look at the female there. You see those femoral pores are basically missing. Not a whole lot. So definitely you can tell. Now this is helpful in a lot of lizards, especially ones that may have the same coloration. Oh, another question coming in though.
How much do they weigh?
Oh, no, I have no idea really. That's like a half a pound. I don't know. It's one of those things we'd have to measure in grams and ounces, and I honestly don't know. Yeah, I'll have to weigh it. Anybody have a scale? I don't have a scale app. Is that a thing yet? I don't know. Anyway.
Can you show their claws?
Claws, definitely. We've got front claws. We've got back claws. And one of the things you'll notice is like most lizards, the back foot, the toes are a different length. And generally that's because they're great for gripping, for climbing. If they all look like this front one, it doesn't work so well. But you can see the claws there are actually pretty good. But because these guys live on rocks, they're generally not super sharp. They kind of file them down as they crawl around on the rocks. Now, a lot of lizards that only use their claws for digging or for climbing on trees, they have super sharp claws. And I think next week when we do our Gila monster versus beaded lizard, you might find out about those claws. Another question, though.
How common are they in Arizona?
Depending on where you live in Arizona, they can be pretty common. Basically, it's the western part of the state. If you live in the Tucson area, sorry folks, you got to go a little farther west and north. Phoenix area and west. Any of the low desert rocky hillsides, if you're out hiking and start looking for them, you'll probably see one. Another question.
Are you willing to disclose your location right now?
Yes, we are in the middle of the desert on the side of a rocky hillside in southwestern United States. I am in Arizona. I might be somewhere between Phoenix and Tucson. I could be a little farther west. I'm not going to tell you exactly where, mostly because the paparazzi really get annoying if they know where you're at. But I also don't want everybody coming out and getting rid of all these chuckwallas, which sometimes happens. And that's kind of a trade secret for a lot of people. It's kind of like, your favorite fishing hole. I can't tell you where it is. But another question.
Do they prefer to be independent or with others?
They're very independent, except for that one time a year. Yeah, this time of the year in the spring, the males are out looking for the females and hoping that they can help there be some eggs later and some babies. Aside from the babies hanging out for a few days once they hatch out of their eggs in the same area, they usually disperse as well. Now, occasionally I've come across a chuckwalla or two that are in the same area, sometimes even 3 in an area maybe 10 or 12 feet depending on the rocks, but generally you're going to see one and that's going to be it. And the males get to be especially territorial. So this guy here, this might be his rock, and maybe his range goes up to that tree or over to there or down to there or something, but that's generally his area. And if another chuckwalla comes into his area, he'll do some head bobbing. That's right. It's kind of like if you've ever seen a lizard do push-ups on a rock. This guy will do that, and he'll bob his head looking as big and scary as he can and let that other lizard know, hey, buddy, this isn't your kitchen. Another question, though.
Are they related to bearded dragons?
They are not related to bearded dragons at all. Well, okay, sort of, kind of. But bearded dragons are found in Australia. Chuckwalla, of course, being a North American lizard, there's some differences there. But they do look a lot like a bearded dragon. The bearded dragons kind of look like a chuckwalla that is covered in spikes. Bearded dragons, though, they're omnivorous and they'll eat both plants and animals. Another lizard that looks a lot and acts a lot like a chuckwalla that's found in the Middle East and in Africa is a type of lizard called a Euromastix. And I think we need to do a little series or session on those. They're basically kind of like a chuckwalla, but they have a very spiky tail. They have spikes all over their tail. And where they live is not a place where they have a lot of hillsides sometimes. They are in flat, open areas. So what they'll do is they'll dig a hole under a rock or in the ground, and if an animal goes after them, they go in head first, blow up with air, and get stuck in there. And if the animal tries to get them, they swing their tail around and slap at them with their spikes. Now, the chuckwalla can't do that. He doesn't have to worry about it. He's got big cracks to live in, so it works out very well. But there's other lizards that kind of act like the chuckwalla. Some of the iguanas and things, they're plant eaters, but they live in different environments. There's lizards that do live in this area down in the flats away from the mountains, but right at the base, if you will, the desert iguanas that would eat the same kind of thing, but we'll talk about those in a whole different one. Now that I got your interest piqued on all these other lizards, we've got a lot more material. But I think now we're doing pretty good. You're understanding about the chuckwallas. Do have another question coming in, though.
Can you have one as a pet, and would you suggest it?
There are people that have them as pets. Now, this gets into where do you live and the legalities of it and so on. That's something you have to check on your own. Every state has their own regulations on what you can keep, what you can catch, and different things like that. They do make okay pets if you like reptiles as pets. Of course, there's also a lot of similar lizards that might be easier, like the bearded dragon or an iguana or whatever else that might kind of be like these. Euromastics are found in the pet trade now. People breed them. So the chuckwallas definitely, they make pretty good pets, I guess, if that's your thing. Definitely something that you might check into. But once again, I don't encourage anybody to go out and start wiping out mountainsides full of chuckwallas just to keep them as pets. But of course, people have hunted them for years. They actually are edible, I hear, okay? I mean, okay, maybe there's nothing quite like chuckwalla chili on a Friday night. Wait, no, I'm kidding. I've never eaten a chuckwalla. But the ancient people in the area where the chuckwallas lived, they used to hunt chuckwallas. And it was kind of easy, not a whole lot of food, but you could go up on a hillside and look in all the cracks, and you find a chuckwalla in there blown up with air. You couldn't get it out. Poke a hole in the side, let out the air, and they could get it out. Of course, then they're just going to eat the chuckwalla anyway. Not a good way if you want a live one, by the way. But I don't know. I don't know if the world's come to the point where I got to learn to eat a chuckwalla yet. I really would have a hard time with that. But of course, animals do. But the whole blowing up with air thing works very well. All right. Well, I think we've covered probably more than anybody wants to know about the amazing chuckwalla lizard. And of course, now when you get done watching this, you can call your friends, text your grandma, whatever, say, hey, I saw a chuckwalla today. Most people don't know what it is, and they'll think you're talking about some celebrity. They'll be like, you saw who? Chuckwalla, right? Which does sound like a guy's name, let's be honest. And I know that's going to happen someday. I'm going to be in the supermarket. I'm going to hear him say, over the intercom, customer Chuckwalla, please come to the service desk. I'll see a lizard push a cart by with no toilet paper in it. But anyway, we got another question coming in.
Do they build nests in the cracks?
No, they don't build nests in the cracks. They will go into the dirt, like under a rock or in a crack that goes in deep, and be in a place that's a little softer, if you will. That's where the female's going to lay her eggs. But they don't build a nest where they gather, leaves and grass and stuff like that. No. And they don't always use the exact same crack. That's the beauty of it. You have an area that you're living on out here, and there's a lot of cracks. Well, you go sit up here to warm up in the sun, where, being a lizard, they have to have sunlight to process their vitamin D. They need to warm up to have energy. And so maybe that's your basking spot. But then you like the plants over here. So you go eat here today and there tomorrow. But if you're out there, you're always keeping an eye on where's the nearest crack. That hawk comes swooping in. You just jump in the nearest crack and wiggle deep. But when it's time to hibernate, you got that one crack that really goes good and deep that you know about. Or maybe even you're estivating over the summer. I think we saw another question going there.
Is there a record on the largest?
I'm sure there is. I don't have it because I have only dealt with the common chuckwallas, the bigger chuckwallas, like I said, that are found in Mexico along the peninsula and stuff, and some of those islands there get to be a lot bigger. I don't really know. With the common chuckwalla, there's probably even a size record, but that's something that you should research and let us all know. So if you actually find something on that, put it in the comments. That'd be great. All right. Well, I think everybody is good with the chuckwallas here. Let's just talk a little bit more about I'm talking about all this and how they work. Let's go ahead and let these guys jump in here and show you how it works. So, as a final goodbye from the chuckwalla, we're going to go ahead and put him here. Maybe he'll sit here in the sun for a bit. Probably not. It'll probably go jumping down into the crack here. And let me start with the female here. See if she wants to just sit down. She wants to run. She sees that crack. She's like, hey guys, I will jump deep into there. You see it in there? All right, well, let's see what Mr. Male will do. Actually, I'm going to put him up top here and see if he'll just sit there and look pretty for us. Let me get around the other side here. And we'll let him sit right up there. Show you a little trick if you want some good photography here, is if we can get him to calm down a little bit and think he's hiding, then we'll see if he'll sit there and whoop, nope. He wants to jump down and run away. Did he run around or down into a crack? He's gone. Oh, he's like, I know there's a little hiding spot right over here. So, let's see if we can see this gal in here, though. I brought my handy O-light here, which is nice, small, and bright. Oh, let's see if we can see that chuckwalla right up in there. See her cute little face there? Let me, there we go. Let's go. Is that too bright, or can you see it pretty well? I don't know if everybody can see that face in there, but there's the chuckwalla face hiding deep in the crack. Of course, the tail's over on the other side. I don't know if that's easy to see as well, but we'll go ahead and leave her here. We can see she's deep inside this crack. You want to try the tail real quick? All right, let's go ahead and, let's put it back on her face, and we'll go ahead and roll out from the nice, pretty face of the chuckwalla. With this, I do want to thank you guys for supporting and watching this. I hope you enjoyed learning about this amazing inflatable lizard. Once again, remember, if you want to throw something in the tip jar, Zelle is payment@wildmanphil.com. Venmo, that's going to be wildmanphil, all one word with a capital W and a capital P. And also, if you'd like to PayPal, that's presentations@desertwildlife.net. And I do want to thank everybody who has taken advantage of that. It has really helped out tremendously during these times. Thank you guys for being so supportive. Hopefully we'll see you again. Tomorrow, we're going to talk turtles, snapping turtles. That's right. We're going to have a lot of fun with those. So be sure and tune in tomorrow, 11 a.m. Pacific, whatever time that is where you're at. Thanks again. We'll see you tomorrow.